I need this scene to just play out. Don't think too hard. Just kind of let it wash over me.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
And then I go into a scene that I like. Then I go into one I don't like as much, but that's all right. You're just going to wash.
Take it moment by moment here.
We'll burn some incense. I'll tell you all about it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, let's go do that right now. All right. Welcome to the HolmFront, where we keep everything objectively subjective, which might not be the case today. I don't know. It's
gonna be all opinions all across the board.
That's fair, but we have a bit of a divide down the line, so maybe we'll be more objective just because you'll find the center where you disagree with both of us.
Which is rare. This is a rare episode because we almost always agree, and this time we didn't agree. Before we say anything else, can you guess which of us liked this movie and which of us hated it?
By the way, I'm Tyler, your host, and to my right, as always, is Mitch, my overly artistic friend.
Is that an obvious question, or do you think everyone will get it wrong?
I don't know.
I feel like everyone's going to get it wrong.
I mean, if they've watched the other two, then I think they'll figure it out. But
Okay,
so we saw something today that just came out. What did we see?
Saw Avatar: Fire and Ash.
Fire and Ash. And we did a trailer react in which we were excited about a lot of the prospects of the film.
Yes.
Namely, that there's infighting with the local populace, which
the Na'vi.
The Na'vi.
What I wanted to see.
Since the first movie.
Yes.
We had to wait 3 to get there.
But we made it. We got there.
I wanna preface this by saying that it's so interesting that this movie has like a large audience when it comes out.
Yeah, packed theater.
Yeah,
every ticket sold out,
and it's 2 days old, right? Or 1 day?
No, two. I don't know.
It's close to 2. The thing about it is, obviously, this is releasing on Tuesday, but we're recording on Saturday, which is when we saw it, and I think it released on Thursday night. I think.
Yeah.
Okay. The thing about it is, there's not really like a fan base.
No.
It's not like Star Wars where you're going to have a bunch of super nerds that are like reading all the books and like know the lore and stuff like this. It's just, it's like a large ocean, but it's about an inch deep. There's not, not a lot of substance to any of it. This one tried, I think, the most to give it a little bit more depth. So that's one of the things that we'll go into a little bit today. But why don't you start us off by giving a synopsis of this film? And we're gonna try to maintain the spoiler-free section for a little bit, and then we'll kick into gear. But the synopsis.
Okay, so the synopsis is that this is basically Avatar: The Way of Water, but done better. Like it's basically point for point the same plot as that movie.
Yep, it's basically the exact same movie.
Yeah, it is.
You could just skip Way of Water.
You could just watch this one instead. What you might want to do is watch the first 5 to 10 minutes, I think, of Way of Water, where it does this expository recap where Jake explains like his family dynamics and who Spider is and these important characters that matter for this movie, because he does build a lot with them. But other than that, yeah, you just skip the rest of Way of Water. You watch this one. It's a better version of that movie. It's just like it. Same things happen.
Pretty much.
Exactly. They still have to do they have to protect the whales because the whale poaching is still a thing.
Yep.
They still have to, ask Awa for help at the end, and she shows up.
Quay Arch is still there.
Quay Arch is still there, and he fights Jake at the end. The same things. The exact same things. So if you were looking at this going, oh, I need more of a detail, I promise anything else I say is just going to be like the small, the more...
Just the nuances.
The nuances, yeah, the nuance parts that we're going to break down when we get into characters and stuff. But in terms of like the story, it's the same.
Right.
Same thing. The only new component is, of course, Varang. And she's the leader of this new Na'vi tribe. And so now she ends up being in league with Quay Arch at some point. He enlists her help and to help fight against Jake and stuff. And that was very cool.
Yep.
That was what was different.
Okay, so I think just as a brief, there's not much we can get into without going into spoilers because, like we said, it's just like the second movie. So if you've seen the second movie, you've pretty much seen this movie. So we're not going to spoil anything. If you're going to figure it all out, just figure out the plot points, but there it is. But I will say, just as like basic good points in it. Special effects looked incredible.
They were amazing. I
Yeah.
didn't really think that much about The Way of Water. For some reason, it just didn't hit that hard.
Mm.
But this movie did. I was like, wow, sheesh.
I think, yeah, Way of Water definitely looks incredible for sure. But this one has so much more detail, especially because they focus a lot on Varangs. So they're the fire and ash tribe. They have so much detail, and just even down to the minute portions of like their paint and whatnot. It looks like they took ash and smeared it on themselves. You can see like the finger marks where they smeared it. And it just, they have like the reflections in their eyes, and it's so detailed. It's incredible. So yeah, it looks amazing.
His ability to have like, because there were certain shots of the jungly area that looked like real, like shot on location, because that didn't feel that the case in the first movie. The first movie just felt like everything was fantastical.
Yeah.
There was nothing about it that was real, whereas this, a lot of it felt real, and then you had the, Navi characters or whatever interacting with it. And that blend was just, it was like borderline uncanny. It was just so unbelievable what they accomplished from a visual effects perspective.
Yep.
The one thing I wasn't sure about, though, and I don't know if it was just me or whatever, but there were sequences, like you would watch a sequence where they'd like dive underwater and then they'd be swimming around and they do, pop up and splash back in. And it's like, okay, they're having a moment. And then when the moment's over, you can tell they've like switched cameras, or like the shutter speed is changed, like the frame rate, something like that is off, because like then it'll do this wide shot of like a reef, and then suddenly everything slows down and it feels like, oh, it's like chugging along.
Kind of
like
jarring.
It's like it's hard to keep up. And that happened like at least half a dozen times throughout this movie, where I was like, well, that was weird. But also like the movie just has like, it's like those vivid mode movies, TVs, which I hate looking at because it just looks so fake. It just makes you hyper aware that the camera's there. But this one, because everything is mostly, digitization, it kind of just felt like it fit better.
Right.
So it took me like a good 20 minutes, but I eventually adjusted and was like, yeah, this works. This is actually a really nice visual image.
Okay.
So I don't know. So I had some like weird nitpicks, and I don't even know if it is the frame rate or what the problem is.
Yeah, we'd need to be a lot more technically savvy to understand what happened there. But
did you notice that though?
I only noticed like one or two moments, and I noticed it was more. Well, I guess it's similar because it would come into like the one I can think of is when Spider's talking to Sigourney Weaver's character. I can't remember all the names. Kiri. And she like steps in front of the camera and walks past him, and it almost looks like home video-esque. And I think some of it's just odd because of the height difference between them two. So it's like they got kind of an upward angle going on to Spider to keep her in frame as she's walking by. But it looks like, like the frame rate's slower or something. It's so small. There was only like 3 or 4 moments. So like this is a real nitpick. It's not, in the grand scheme of things, it's not that big of a deal. But it was weird for this movie, which is like special effects the movie.
Yeah.
For that to happen. But
well, yeah, I mean to say it's not a criticism, mostly just like I didn't know how to take it. Is how I felt. I was like, did they shoot this in a different way or something like that? It just wasn't exactly seamless throughout. But it was a beautiful film.
Yes.
And if you're interested to see it, I think the answer is yes, regardless of anything we might say about the story. If you want to see the visual effects, which you should, then I think you should just go and watch it for that.
It's a large movie. It's one of those that's like, it's better to watch it in the theater, I think.
Yeah.
It's better to get that input that way.
Yeah, because I think when we watched Way of Water in theaters and then we watched it again for a review, it was not as good at home.
No.
It really lost a lot. So these movies really need to be seen on the big screen, and I think this one falls right in with that.
Agreed.
So yeah, I actually think this might actually have looked good in 3D. We didn't see it in 3D, but there were a lot of moments where I was like, I get that this was a 3D moment, but it works either way, and I'd actually would be okay seeing it again in 3D.
Okay.
For what that's worth.
Keep in mind this is a 3.5-hour movie, so if you have a hard time with 3D, you might feel real sick by the end. But
I hate 3D, but I would be open to it. I think it would look interesting. Yeah.
Okay, so let's jump into. I guess. Well, no, we can do that point. I will say, of the entire movie, Zoe Saldana shown in this movie. If I wish
Yeah,
we
she's
could
great.
go back and remove her Oscar and give it to her for this one.
Yeah.
I would say for whatever other complaints I may have for this film, like Zoe Saldana basically carried this movie, and it's decent enough on its own. But she legit was, from the moment she steps on screen, she was the emotional connection I had throughout the whole thing.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, so nice to see that she's actually given a chance to play with more of this character.
Yeah, she gives a very dramatic like performance, one in which her character is going through an arc. So she's clearly like working through all of that. Whereas the rest of the characters are just kind of trying to figure out what James Cameron wants and just going with that.
Yeah, maybe she's the only one with clear direction. Aside from maybe Varang, but yeah.
Yeah, but Varang is not as complicated of a character as Neytiri is. So Neytiri has like the most complexity, and she's the person who has to like rise to that occasion, I guess. Like there's total transformation with her. So yeah, she's very compelling. She's been great in all of them. Zoe Saldana is. She really carries these movies. She does a lot of hard work for them. So
does.
Yeah, I'm with it. I would give her a second Oscar. I probably would have given it to her the first round.
That's fair.
The first one.
That's fair. Yeah. And then the last one, I'm trying to like. I guess you saw it in the trailer. So I don't want to give too many because after this I'm going to jump into spoilers.
Yeah.
But the Varang and Quaritch. Let's say Quaritch. their dynamic is pretty cool.
It's awesome.
I liked the way that they present it, and that's just it's because it's in the trailer that I'm saying that they obviously team up. But
we saw it in the trailer. Yeah, and both actors, they're good too. I mean, they just don't have quite the same transformation thing that like Zoe Saldana is doing. To hers, that's just so much more emotional depth. But for what these other two characters are doing, that dynamic was awesome. That was totally worth watching. Yeah. So, do we recommend this movie?
For what it is, I'd say it's worth a watch. I'm probably not gonna watch it again. Personally, but I would say it's worth at least a one-time through.
Yeah, I recommend.
Do you concur? Okay.
I recommend. I think it's better than the last movie. I think if you were disappointed by that one, you should go and see this one. I think if you're not a big Avatar fan, but you like visual effects movies, you should go see it.
Fair enough.
I think if you like any kind of film, like if you're in any way interested in like film as a medium, it's kind of like you sort of have to watch it kind of thing.
Right.
Yeah. But I mean, yeah, it just again, you have to have the James Cameron lens, which is what I've been building up over the last couple of weeks.
Well, let's okay, so you have anything else spoiler free that we want to do?
No, let's just dive into it.
Okay, so let's jump into spoilers.
For this one, I actually think you ought to start.
Okay.
Because typically
I was going to say,
yeah,
we disagree. You thought this movie was pretty good.
It is good.
But
I liked it.
With
I had a great time. I really didn't have that many problems with it. You know, I kept thinking the whole movie, I was like, this is just like the last movie, but a lot better.
Yeah,
so
I will agree with that point. That is a good point. Yes, it is. Which is probably one of my problems with it is like, oh, well, great. You should have done this in the last movie and saved us 2.5 hours of our time. But I'm
just happy that we're getting it now.
Sure.
You know,
I will say I did not go into this with the James Cameron lens. Like I know I'm going to see a James Cameron movie, so my bar's just lower. But he's so great at making sure that he misses great opportunities, and that's what frustrates me so much about him.
And this movie just pushed you over that edge.
Kind of. Yeah, I will say the one opportunity that he exceeded here was Zoe Saldana's character. The amount of complexity that he continues to add to her is phenomenal. It's great. I lost a light for some reason. Died.
You can mess with it.
I
was going to say,
go ahead.
Because it is interesting. Normally, when we disagree on a movie, the plan is to have the person who disagrees with it speak first and just really tear into it. And then it creates this almost impossible situation for the other person to defend it. So I did that for you one point. I think it was with Predator, actually. You're like, it wasn't too bad. And I was like, it was terrible. And I just beat the crap out of that movie.
That's true.
And then at that point, you were like, I feel like I can't defend this anymore because it's just so bad. So I'm kind of wondering, maybe you just rip into it, and I'll see how much I can defend it. Or maybe it cripples under the pressure.
Okay. Well, let me push my strong points first.
Okay, yeah, the big picture stuff.
So obviously Zoe Saldana's character. So they start off with her obviously having lost her child on the previous film, and she's struggling to be a mother and a wife still while dealing with that loss.
Mm-hmm.
And so they don't focus enough on that, but she's in the background and she's giving so much detail. And this is another point where the special effects just reign supreme in this movie. She has so much nuance in her face and the expression she gives and who she's looking at during certain interactions.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what really lent to all it, because she doesn't talk a whole lot for quite a while. And then when she does start saying stuff, you can tell like how tormented she is through this ordeal, everything that's going on in the universe. So I will say, as soon as she stepped on screen, it was phenomenal. But for the first like 30 minutes, I was like, dear God, Cameron, just cut all of this, all of
like
it
that
out.
scene.
Just chop it out, chop it all out.
Okay, why?
They should have started, because you're in the third movie. Stop. I get it. You like your world. It's like, look how pretty it is. Look how peaceful everyone is. Look how wonderful that the time that they're having in the water. I'm like,
Yeah.
Move on. We are here for the fire and ash. They should have started with fire and ash. I would have started right off the bat with Varang.
Going in and like doing an attack.
Immediately.
Yeah, that would have been better opening. I agree
Way
with that.
better. I would have immediately been like, look how ruthless and destructive she is, and then show her disdain for Awa, and that's what gets you going.
Yeah.
I was so bored. I was like, put her on the screen. You know why we're here. And he just refused to do that for you. Then you finally do, and it's like, all right, this is good. They're pretty ruthless. They're pretty scary. That's great. Fantastic. But he takes forever to do it. So Zoe Saldana had to carry that whole first part of the movie. And it takes a while for her to come on screen. Also, I know this is a nitpick, but it drove me. The amount of times that they say bro in this movie, stupid. It's an incredible amount of times.
It's way less than it was in Way of Water,
but
though.
Still, oh my God.
But I did notice it.
Bro, stop it. Remove all that. Gosh. Okay, so yeah, so then they get to Varang. Now Varang is she's a incredible concept. Let me give you that. Very interesting character, very ruthless, kind of like Zoe Saldana's counterpart, one that just kind of rejects all these things that you've been introduced to in this world. That's really cool. I like what she's doing, and they're doing like a full-on scalping type narrative, so she's going around cutting braids, which is great. But then she has this interesting ability that he decides is not important at all to explain, even though it's fascinating. She'll go over and like dominate other characters with her braid. So she connects her. So it's almost like this visual representation of like rape or something.
Mm-hmm.
So like I got what it's doing, but it doesn't explain like how she started doing it. And maybe you don't need an explanation necessarily. Like, I don't need a whole backstory. But I was like, this is fascinating. Like, why wouldn't she explain this to Quayarch or something? Like, it was weird that wasn't something that they wanted to expound upon. She uses it like 3 times, and then she's like, all right, it's not that cool. It's like, that's like the coolest part of your character. What are you talking about? Because it's like a total fundamental rejection of everything that he's set up in the first 2 movies. And like, we're just going to go full out with what the connotations of this film, because it's been there since the first one. Just like hooking up with whatever you can connect your braid to is just a very uncomfortable situation. But they're like connecting to trees and animals and horses and other people. And it wouldn't be that bad except for the fact that he's the one that set the foundation that, no, when Jake Sully goes with Neytiri, that this is like their mating ritual, is like, we're connecting braids. I'm like,
right.
Okay, but you've done that with a tree and your dragon and your horse already. Like, I don't like this connotation at all.
Maybe this is why Avatar has no fans, is because people don't want to sit around and discuss the weirdness of it all.
It is weird.
I feel like in the context of the movie, though, he always explains it in such a way where I'm like, I get what he's saying. I think we all do. And it's just people don't want to give him that.
Sure.
So it's like, fine, you don't have to, but I'm prepared to give it to him. I get it. It makes sense to me. It's like, because you're everybody's drawing the equivalency with like actual and anatomical human body parts, and I just don't think that's the
He
point
drew
of
that.
it. No, you drawing that.
No, he drew it.
No, he's drawing the connection that you connect in different ways spiritually.
Sure.
That's what he's drawing.
By a physical action.
Yes.
Which is what some of us believe sexual actions are. But I mean, and yet maybe you're saying that I'm interpreting that in a movie?
let me put it this way.
Go ahead.
They say like tree hugging, right?
Yeah.
That would be my way of connecting with a tree spiritually. I would just touch the tree with my palm and I connect with the tree, right?
They do touch up there with their palm and then they do more. So
yeah, it's getting too lost in the weeds of like the anatomical thing. It doesn't bother me. It's weird, but like to talk about. But in the context of the movie, it's just like this is your connector point to everything in the world. Think of it this way. Think of it like a code to get into a computer. Your password. You type in your password. You hit enter. You have to type in the password, otherwise you can't get into the computer. So you just hit that same password for all these different things. But the computer is the space where everything happens.
Okay.
Look, I don't want to defend it anymore other than to say that I get it. It's a spiritual thing. Therefore, it supersedes any kind of physical connotations that people want to draw. But people obsess over that physical connotation because they're dirty-minded.
It's not dirty-minded. It's in there.
I'm not saying it's not in there. I'm saying it's
He
just
set the
going
premise is my problem.
I don't want to argue with this anymore. Give me a real problem you have with the movie.
That is a real problem. The problem that I had, though, is that is no longer... So I guess I'd have to put it into like as a foundational point with my problems with Varang is that she has no personal philosophy. She doesn't.
Sure.
What is it? What's her personal philosophy?
She's on a power trip. She just wants the lust for power, and she wants to show that Awa is a liar and a falsehood, a false deity.
Barely. That's barely in the movie.
I got that.
Sure, but there's no let me replace it with something. I guess you could say it's replaced with her, but she has these other methods that she doesn't like. It's not for the purpose of obliterating that philosophy. Does that make sense?
She doesn't think about it that hard. She's not that kind of a character.
Maybe, but then I guess that would be my other problem with it is that so we're going into the Quayarch dynamic with her. Quayarch goes in to recruit her initially because he thinks, okay, this is a chaotic character that is after kind of the same thing that I am. He's like, if I can just channel that and point it towards Jake Sully, then I could use this, which is like, okay, that's cool. But then he kind of figures her out, and then it makes her interested in him, and so they have like this kind of... But the thing about it is she's part of this fire clan, and fire's this like chaotic, uncontrollable thing. And that's where I was like, okay, this is going to be really interesting, because if that's part of her character, if he tries to take her and put her basically under his wing, eventually it's going to burn him. And then she's going to kind of go off the rails.
Yeah.
And it doesn't happen.
Well, no, that's going to happen in the next movie or maybe the one after that.
This is my problem with Cameron. Again, this should have been movie 2. That's something that should have happened in this movie. Like, he takes too long to do things that he should. This is 3 hours long. It's a 3-hour movie. I was like, you had the opportunity here. What I thought was going to happen, there's a scene in there where the stupid general character comes in and was like, Quayarch, you're pushing lines or whatever. And Quayarch is the one, he's not like, he's playing within his own boundaries. He's throwing his weight around for sure. But that's not what Varang's interested in. She just sees someone standing up to the person that she's attached herself to. So I was like, oh, we're going to kill the general person. She's going to butcher the general. She's going to take control of this place. And then it's going to be all hell's going to break loose. Doesn't happen. So that was my problem. Like, it wasn't vicious enough. Like, they didn't play on her foundational traits enough. Like, push it, dude. Take a risk. It's okay. Like, you did it in the last movie, and that was the best part of it. Is that you killed a kid. You killed someone, and that gave Neytiri room to start growing more as a character, add complexity. You should have been like, she's evil. Make her evil. Push. And he's like, we'll get it in the next one, I guess. In fact, we're going to have her scramble away. And I was like, okay. Also,
you didn't set the bar appropriately.
Apparently not.
That's your problem.
Just I wanted a ruthless character that was just going to go all in.
Well, let's break down the good things about her character. So she has this clan who's living out in this like totally decimated wasteland,
which was awesome.
and they just go out, and they just pirate the air tribe or whatever, who are like merchants, and just set their airships on fire and pillage and stuff like that. So we find out that she's resentful towards Awa because her people, at some point, there was like a volcano eruption. They all died. They were crying out for Awa for help, and she did nothing. So they were like, all right, well, she's a false god. And the people who worship her are just complete fools and morons. And so they became this very warlike tribe. And that's where it felt like it was finally doing, I hate to say like bringing the historical justice of it all, but it's like with these movies, there's always this like, oh, well, like, native tribes across history were just like the most peaceful, loving things ever. And it's like, okay, well, they're the ones who invented scalping. They're the ones who had wars with each other just over the lamest stuff. So, like, if you actually look at the history of it, yes, there's peaceful tribes and there's war tribes. And so it was nice that he brought that into it.
Mm-hmm.
And so instead of the scalping, they just cut their braids, which is like the equivalent of that, which means you can show it in a PG-13 movie, but you can also bring in that actual historical theme. And so it made the Na'vi complicated now, because now they have a force that's a little spooky, a little too much. They're willing to make human sacrifices out here.
Even though their rituals are so long.
Yeah, well, everything's long. Everything is long in a Cameron movie.
Everything.
So they're doing that as well, and I thought her reasoning was pretty good. I'm like, yeah, it's simplistic, but she doesn't want a complicated reason. They're just like,
sure.
Okay, teach me how to use this gun. Teach me how to cast the thunder. Okay, now that I know it, I'll just kill you because I don't need you anymore. I have enough power just as it is. And that was another theme too, where he's giving the modern technology to them, which is another thing that happened with like specifically Native Americans, right? And so it's kind of like playing out in this sci-fi setting, the similar kind of events that occurred during the colonialism era. So that I thought was all great. And then Varang, for her part, I didn't take her as like this like deep mastermind of a person. She's just like, anytime I get an edge, I'm happy. And I'm just going to rile on that. And that's it. So Quayarch, being who he is, can play into that. And so she tries to break him and then finds that that's hard to do. And he's like, yeah, because the one thing you actually want is an equal, and I can do that. And then he makes a case for how he can do that by leveraging the technology that he has and by being able to withstand her physically when she tries to do the rapey thing with the hair. Yep. So I was like, all right, this is cool. This is great. I thought that was all fantastic. I didn't need her to do more, but I just assumed I wouldn't get more from the very beginning. I expected very little, and what I got was a lot more than that. And I thought, well, this is great. I'm enjoying this wholeheartedly.
So that's where I fail. I just have expectations, and that's the problem.
You're probably gonna like it when he finishes all 5 movies. They'll do a cut that's just 3 hours long, and it's all
a single movie.
It's all 5 movies, one movie, 3 hours long. And you'll be like, oh, this is pretty good.
Fair enough. Yeah. So some of those out. Yeah. The when she gets the gun was great because you can see she's just kind of insane.
Yeah.
Because he
like
her
shows
eyes.
She's just
like
yeah.
Because she gets the gun. Store. He shows her how to load it up, and then she fires it. And like, I don't know if you've ever fired an automatic weapon, but it is a rush. It's fantastic, and it's like. You just get that adrenaline thing, and she's someone that worships fire essentially. So seeing this thing and then they give her a flamethrower later, which I did like that part.
Yeah,
she grabs it.
Great.
Whoa!
Now I can have fire all the time.
All the time.
My favorite thing.
So that was great. I maybe that is ascribing too much depth to someone who's not that way. Because in my mind,
think she's a deep character, but I think that's what makes her fascinating.
Maybe, but the thing is that he kept alluding to that. That was where I was like, okay, do something with that, because she explains that to Quayarch. So, yeah, we were calling it to Awa, and it didn't work, because they're in this like burned out husk of ruins that the volcano took out. And in my mind, it's like, well, if she called out to Awa, it didn't work out, and then she's like, I am the fire or whatever. She would just hate anything to do with Awa and want to just destroy her. And so to me, it's like, well, okay, now you're presenting her with options where she's going to want that control, that power. She's going to have different motivations than Quayarch will. Because eventually she's going to be like, look, you care about this Jake Sully person. I don't. I care about all these people that worship this god that is lying to them. And it's not that she would want to convert them. She would just want to destroy them.
Mm-hmm.
And so she would want to get off that leash eventually. Because Quayarch, he's got that delicate balance of power, but eventually it's going to get severed.
Yeah.
It's like a Bonnie and Clyde situation. Like Bonnie eventually was just like, look, I'm in here for a lot different reasons than you are. I want to butcher people.
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, it was good for what it was, but I don't think that they went far enough. And maybe that's me just being a little too bloodthirsty with the movie, but I was like, look, we did 3 movies for this already.
No, what you're describing sounds cool. I just expect to see some of that play out in the next movie. It's too, like, he's just a slow paced man.
Gosh.
He just doesn't rush anything.
Anything.
And he has a lot of characters. I will give you that. He does have probably too many characters. But I think for me, this movie worked better because he scaled back on the kid characters
Thank
who
God.
I hate.
Yes, agreed.
I'm just really not
Spider.
interested. I'm just not interested in their storylines that much at all. I understand why they're there, and that's to be more appealing to a broader audience. So I'm like, okay, and like same with the PG-13
Well,
rating.
it includes that's like what pushes Jake to be better as a character, because he had to do the hump of going from human to Na'vi first one, and then this one is him having a family and what that could mean if he loses it.
Yeah.
So it just raises his stakes. Like obviously he has his adopted people, but that gives it another layer. So it's more for Jake than anything else. But in the second movie, Cameron was just like, we really got to connect with the kids, and we were just like, we don't though. We got it. I mean, it's what Jake has to lose. That's all you need. You don't need to follow them everywhere.
Yeah, exactly. They don't need these long, drawn-out scenes. They don't need so much drama because there's just not enough room for it, which is crazy because the movies are so long as it is. But he has to dedicate time to all these different characters. Right. I think that's why the first Avatar works better, is that he's just kind of focused on like a few. It's just really just Jake and Neytiri, and that's pretty much it. And then when you get into Way of Water, he's like, now I just imploded it with a ton more characters.
Yeah.
And we got to keep up with everybody. I understand on some level what he's doing, especially seeing the developments here. So Jake has a weird family because he's a human who got converted into a Na'vi. Neytiri's just a Na'vi. Then he has 3 actual children. There's like the 2 boys, and then the youngest one. I forget, Loke or whatever.
Yeah, Toke.
Yeah. So the 2 oldest boys there only needed to be one, because the other one is just there to die to progress the character of everybody else. So that's fine. So he had, the extra spare. Then we got rid of him. And then we can just now do character development stuff with the rest of them. But then he has Kiri, who's not his child. It's revealed that she is just a clone of Grace, who was, I guess, pregnant in the first movie. He's just sort of like projecting things that weren't there in that movie.
This is called retroactively
changing
something.
Things, yeah. Whatever. So she was apparently pregnant, and when they tried to transfer her into the Avatar body, it failed. But a seed was planted, and so that seed ended up becoming Kiri. That's the whole story arc they present with that. And then, of course, there's Spider, who just shows up out of nowhere. Apparently, he's Quayarch's kid, and there's no real explanation, and he's freaking annoying.
That was also
because he
retroactive.
wants to be a Na'vi, but he's not. And so he's just Tarzan instead. He's just, 2-bit Tarzan, and he sucks. Anyways, so he has like a weird mix of people.
Mm-hmm.
And when he was doing with Kiri and Spider, I didn't really care for it, but I got like how it's just other riffs on this like human versus Na'vi storyline. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Because everybody has like a weird origin instead of being just straight and narrow.
Yeah. Well, it's the world adapting to the changes that it's going through, and so it's offering options.
Yeah.
So the first one was Jake going from human to Na'vi. This one is, it's introducing something new that hasn't been done before in Kiri's character. And then he wanted to play around a little bit further and say, well, what if humans could inhabit this planet without having to use the Avatar? How would that happen? Well, considering the spiritual nature of the planet, we'll just do it spiritually. So
Yeah.
like that part, the expansion of it is interesting, and thank God he didn't like overbeat this one like he did in movie 2, Way of Water. But the way that the corporate entities kind of saw that opportunity was interesting because he didn't like pound it into your face, but he introduced it there. So it was
Yeah.
like, oh, that's cool because they obviously see that and be like, well, we could market this if we could present this as a world that's inhabitable for the human populace on Earth. If we can replicate that, which means that they're going to have to go in and tear apart this human boy in order to replicate that. That part was interesting but like I said, it was very brief.
Yeah, like
It
they
was like, oh,
capture
thank you.
Spider briefly, and he can now breathe the air, and they're just like, well, how come he can breathe the air now? So we got to find out.
Yep.
And so the moment they catch him, it's just a series of shots where they're just like shoving tubes down his throat.
That
and
was
he's like,
funny.
"Ah!" That's so great. It's just hooked up to all the scrap.
Yep.
He's making him like run on a treadmill, and he's like,
He's just mad.
just like totally soulless. Like, let's find out.
Yeah, what is it? It makes him tick. So let's jump into Spider then real quick.
Oh,
Do you
yeah.
like him better in this movie? Because you hated him in The Way of Water, right?
Yeah, I really don't care for this character. He's so obnoxious.
So he
I
hasn't
think the
won you over?
acting's bad. I think the performance is awkward and annoying. I think he's just so egregiously obnoxious to watch. So in this one, I like see his role in the story now, so that helps.
Okay.
But other than that, I still hate the character.
Because this is what they tried to do in the second movie, but this one actually landed what his purpose was in general.
Yeah.
Because it is retroactive. Quayarch doesn't have a kid or a wife, a pregnant wife, whatever, pregnant woman, whatever.
And even if
whatever
he did, why would they be on the planet on Pandora? With them?
Right. And so he had to go back and be like, well, I need this in here to help Quayarch's character to have some kind of arc. But in the second film, it's not there quite enough. At the end, like he's the one that saves Quayarch from drowning, but that's really all that's there for that dynamic to work. This one took those elements and expanded them further into something actually relatable, or at least something you could understand throughout the movie. Because the second one, you're like, what is the deal? Why are you here? Just get out. So, like I said, it should have just replaced this one. But I think I agree with those points. He's not a great actor. He's not presenting very well. He's doing a decent job with the fact that he's got a bunch of blue people around him. And I like the fact that he wants to be like them, like his kind of not fetishizing, but he's almost wishing that that's something he could be. And then being forced to still be human, but be able to act like they do because he can breathe the air now. He's not relegated to the limitations of humans. That part was cool. It could lead to something interesting with him if that's something he struggles with, because now he and Kiri are the outcasts.
Yeah.
So I liked that they had to play off each other, but that led to some really weird moments.
Yeah, just weird, awkward. Also, like, he looks like a grown man to me, but he's with, like, Jake's kids, but he's smaller than them. It's just odd. Like, he's smaller than, like, Jake's youngest kid, but he's, like, older than all of them.
But he's human and they're not. They're just larger things in general.
I get that, but it's like the image is awkward.
It is awkward.
It's so unbearably awkward, and we will not stop and recognize that. And it's the same thing with Kiri too, because he has Sigourney Weaver playing her again, and it's like she sounds like an old woman.
She sounds like Sigourney Weaver, who he's smoked for years of her life.
Like Sigourney Weaver's a great actress,
60s or 70s or something at this point. Yeah,
but why is this allowed?
Yeah, just get a different actress.
Just get a different actress. This is not a big deal,
right? But because she has her likeness, they have to. He feels like he's bound to it or something. Or maybe
it's so strange. It's such a dumb reason.
It's weird. It's real weird.
Like, can you imagine if they cast like, I don't know, like Jack Nicholson to play like, a 16-year-old? That's essentially what you're saying. It's like,
that would be weird.
Why?
Get Nick Nolte to play a 15-year-old.
Yeah, it's like, can't we just hire?
Just get a younger actress,
like closer in that age range.
Yeah.
Like,
Get her a somewhat underdeveloped, not mature voice.
That would be like casting what's his name? Ben Affleck to play Link in the new Zelda movie. It would be like, what? Why?
'Cause
Just get a teenager.
that's because my dad didn't recognize that it was Sigourney Weaver at first. He knew that she was in the first movie or whatever, but he leans over and he's like, "She sounds old." And I was like, "Yeah," but I didn't know he
it's
didn't
an
know.
old woman
'Cause
playing her.
He leaned over. He's like, "That sounds like Sigourney Weaver." And I was like, "It is. That is Sigourney Weaver."
It's so cringe and it's so awkward. It's like I like the character of Kiri actually. She's really interesting. She's just like this spiritual person
Mhm.
who's just connected with all this stuff. So she's a nice access point to the weird spirituality of the planet.
Sure.
So I'm like, that's cool. There's lots of interesting things you can do with that. But it's like you're constantly hearing Sigourney Weaver's voice come out of this
Yeah.
teenage body,
Yep.
and it's just so
It's
so
jarring. It's uncomfortable.
uncomfortable. Yeah. And Spider's the same way. It's like if he was just an actor in a movie, he'd probably be fine. But because he's an actor playing a Tarzan wannabe around a bunch of blue people who are bigger than him but younger than him, it's just it's almost like what he did is Cameron was like, all right, what's the most unbelievable, uncomfortable scenario I can think of in terms of like the cast, and then I'll force that so I can show off how good my special effects are
Oh,
to
gotcha.
convince you
'Cause you
that
do-
it's real.
You do keep that contrast of having a real person with a non-real person.
Mm-hmm.
So, and to some extent, it's effective for sure. But when you have that age dynamic, is when you lose people. It would have been better if you had a grown adult running around with him,
Yeah,
like what you had with Jake.
right. And so they have him, and his whole storyline too with Koyarch is just, I don't know. So there's this interesting point. What'd you think of this? He's now trying to do a redemption arc for Koyarch. So Koyarch, you know, he kind of tries to make amends with his boy, I guess. And then throughout the movie, as he's having interactions with Jake, he's finding that he's actually kind of siding with Jake a couple of times.
Yeah.
Because the situation is such that they can't really, like, they have, like, it's more important to protect Spider or something like that. Gosh, why can't he just have his friggin' name? Anyways, so.
Monkey Boy.
Yo, thanks. So. Koyarch then, like, Jake challenges him, and he's like, well, you just have to see that this world is deeper and greater than what you are.
Uh-huh.
And then, your eyes will be open, basically. Go through the same journey that I went through, in effect, or a similar one. And Koyarch kind of shuts that down, but you can tell in his eyes that he's kind of open to it.
Sure.
And so I was kind of like, all right, so at least we're doing something with the character. We've made a decision. Like, I would have preferred if he just, ended his storyline. But he is such a fun character, so maybe there's something that you can be done with this. And Koyarch has got a girl now with Varang, and so he is kind of connecting with the Na'vi people in it, and with the war faction. That's more his taste.
Sure.
But now that he is getting that access point, I think we'll see coming up in the next movie, he will, kind of start to acclimate, and then he might do a similar thing as Jake. Maybe not in the same way, but it'll be a similar kind of transformation. And I'm looking forward to that. I think that'd be cool.
Okay. Yeah, I guess. Again,
I guess that's spoilers that he doesn't die, but I mean, for real. Like, even if he did die, he'd just come back.
Yeah.
So it doesn't really matter.
He can do whatever he wants in this. I would go back to my original point. You should have just done it here.
Then what?
That arc.
Oh,
with
just
Koyarch.
completed the arc?
Yeah, because you took 2 movies to do this.
Mhm.
Like, you introduced the concept in the second movie, and then you kind of expounded on it in this movie. And it's like 5 hours worth of movie where it's like, Jude, just do something here, man. Like, it just takes too long.
We'll get to it.
Yeah, eventually. Because it would have been interesting. So, okay, let's do Koyarch then. Do you have anything else on Spider?
Mostly I just hated his guts.
Okay. Okay, so let's do Koyarch real quick. What I liked about his character is that in the first one, he's just the grunt character that's like, mission.
Mercenary military man, get the
Right.
job done.
He's like, this is my mission, I will complete. And Jake is someone who's, he's thrown into something that he doesn't understand. Like, he's not even supposed to be there originally. He doesn't have his legs. So he's given all this ability to become something more. And he does.
Mhm.
And Koyarch just takes that as a betrayal. So when Koyarch goes against him, like, that all makes sense. Like, that arc was good in the first movie. The second movie, it's shown that he is not Quayarch. He's a clone. They like replicated him and put him into a Navi body.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess the crux of his character in that film is the fact that he's not anyone specific. He's a copy of someone. And so now he kind of is faced with the decision of, well, I can continue on with who I am made after. I guess you could say who I was, but he wasn't ever. And so that was the like crux is like, am I someone different? Can I do something new here? And he decides not to. He's like, I'm going to double down. And I was like, okay, that's fine. It seems like that would be something that this character would do.
Mm-hmm.
Then he does it again in this movie. And they're using Spider as like the something more that he could be, like the path that he could go down if he chose to, that's not this mission-oriented soldier that doesn't really think for himself. He's like, well, I'm a father now, kind of.
Right.
But even that is from the previous person's life. And so
yeah, it's like a parental instinct is something you can't really fight, is almost the argument there.
Right. But then you have to answer the question if he's the actual parent, because he's still a copy and he's a Navi now. He's not Quayarch. So like there's these kind of weird layers that are like separating him, and he doesn't like the thought of pushing through all those layers to get to the other side. Like that's something outside of his wheelhouse. He doesn't have the thought to go that way. He's rejecting that altogether. And so it kind of keeps him trapped here. But that parental instinct keeps pushing through, which this is all the interesting part of the movie. Is like that all is good stuff for an arc. And that's what forces him and Jake together twice in this movie. And those were the interesting moments. I was like, okay, I like this. And another thing I thought would have been interesting is if that was something that separated Varang and Quayarch. But Quayarch, he dominates this cult-like clan. And then it shows moments of them like showing respect and reverence for him.
Yeah.
But he never acclimates. Like he paints himself like them, and he shows that he's at odds with the general character, but he doesn't like integrate into the clan. He just leads them. So they're just a tool. They're a weapon to him. But he makes himself look like them. So he's just camouflaging essentially. So I thought, well, I was like, what if he did start to like go with them? He's like, well, this is something freeing or whatever.
Yeah.
And they didn't take that opportunity. So I know you're looking forward to that in the next movie. But I was like, again, here's an opportunity. You have 3 hours. You could just put it in right now.
We just wait, anywhere from 2 to 10 years, and then you get to find out the next chapter. I think this is a great rollout.
Sure. Good Lord. Should have just done a TV show and made this as long as possible. So, but all that to say, like, the arc is good. I just wish it was condensed a lot.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree in the sense that if they just took some of the ideas of both of these more recent movies and shoved them together and just did one movie, even if it's 3.5 hours long.
Sure.
And this is going to require gutting some of the kid characters out and focusing, because really we needed to see the scene where Quayarch like puts the paint on and stuff. Like that process needs to happen for us. Like I liked that he did it, but it would just been nice to be involved with that character to see it happen, because he's an interesting character.
That was kind of jarring because he just shows up like that one day. And like I said, it didn't give you the transition to help you understand why he's doing it. It was just like, so are you with them now, or are you just trying to make yourself look like them? It would have been good either way. You just need to know what it is. Like I said, he just shows up.
Yeah, and it would have contrasted nicely with the scene where... So Jake has to go. This is actually a funny story for you. When this scene happened, I was like, oh, I wonder if the movie's about to end now. And it still had like 45 minutes to go. I checked my phone and I was like, oh boy, I got to tough it out a little longer. Just because it's long. I was enjoying it, but I was like, it's long. Anyways, he goes to get the creature he rode, the flying creature from the first movie, he used to like intimidate the clans to show
like Mokto or something.
Yeah, the Mokto or whatever. But then I guess he relinquished that dragon thing and it went back to its bone cave in the mountains. So in this movie, they tell him he needs to go back and get it again to rally the clans once more. And he's like, well, I don't want to do that because, if I connect with that thing too much, then it's like I'm giving into like the beast within myself. Basically, I'll become like it.
Yeah.
So it's dangerous. There's like, I'm going to start losing myself and just become this bloodthirsty monster if I give into it. But he does, and then nothing happens. But the thing is, nothing happens for this movie. And so I thought, well, it's interesting how he's kind of like on parallel tracks with Quayarch, because Jake gets in touch with that monster thing, starts to lose his humanity a little bit, and Quayarch gains his humanity by joining this war tribe, because it's still an avenue that he does understand, but yet it has a spiritual component that he's not used to. And so inevitably that crossover is going to happen. So I thought, oh, that's a really interesting arc to put these two through. We'll have to wait and see if they deliver on that.
If that happens. Which, if he had been planning for this, that would have been something interesting to see in the previous film. Because in reality, Jake just goes and grabs the big thing. It's just...
We had a lot to cover in the last week. I don't know if we had time.
Yeah. Sorry, we had a bunch of kids to follow around. But Jake, he goes and grabs this creature by tricking it. But it's just a testament to his character. He's got daring, guts, but he realizes this is what we need to do in order to win. So I've got to do it. Doesn't matter if I'm scared of it. But it doesn't show that he's like, it's a struggle or it's like changing his character or anything. It's just something he rides. It's just a new, bigger creature that he outsmarted. In this one, he tries to make that claim that like, well, it's just after blood. So if I'm in there too long, then... But again, yeah, you're right. It doesn't do anything with that. He gets separated from it, and it's still Jake. He's like rejecting that leadership role. And I was like, commit to one of these, man. Like, just figure it out what it is that you're trying to do with this, because that would be interesting. Yes, if it was like affecting him, but it doesn't.
Well,
he's still
so far
that
as we
like
know.
even keel. What?
So far as we know.
So we got another 12 hours to go.
Just stick around another 12 hours. We'll do a little bit more with it.
Well, let's do let's jump into Neytiri then.
You want to go back to her?
Well,
she plays into that. We didn't cover her really thoroughly. We said that she was great.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, what do you have to say about her?
Well, like I said, I think she carried most of the emotional heart of this film. I think I'm just gonna try and give her a little bit more time. Do you want to go to something else?
Well, no. I'm just thinking, like, what is it about her that was so striking? Because, you know, for me, she's the grieving mother initially.
Yeah.
And then she has this angle where she wants to kill Spider, and I really bonded with her in that moment where she's like, Spider needs to die, and I was like, you know what? You're onto something. This makes a lot of sense. Because, okay, here's the thing with Spider. He's just an animal. He's just a wild animal.
Yeah.
That's why he's so annoying. Like, Quayarch goes in to talk with him. He's like, got you a burger, and he's just flick that off the table. And then he's like, you know, Quayarch says some stuff, kind of connects a little bit, and then he's like, shows him his
dog
tags. And then Spider's like, oh, can I have those? And it seems like a sentimental reason. But as soon as he said that, I was like, he just wants that to break out. And that's exactly what happened. He just like, let me use it to sneak out. And it's just like, you're such a brat. Like, I just can't stand that character. So anyways, Neytiri wants to take him out, and I'm all for it. But you know, her reasoning is that it's kind of revenge, right? And he's a human, and so she's going back to that phase where she just hated this guy people. I mean, that's what she started as. It's just like, oh, I resent these people that came to the planet and they're screwing things up, you know.
He's also the son of the man that killed her child, so there's that.
That as well. So it's hard to remember stuff because it's just a lot with not a ton of emotional attachment.
Yep. These are the only emotional attachments I got, so they're the ones I remember. But go ahead.
Well, yeah, I was like, I had to remind myself, because when the movie started, there's like that scene where the brothers are like fine, and I was like, something's off about this scene. And then it like reveals that one of them died, and I was like, oh yes, that's right. Sorry, I forgot. So terrible. But I'm just not emotionally invested in them, so I just don't remember.
Right.
Okay, anyways, so she then has this whole scene later on where she just lets her like racism come out. Basically, she just like hates this guy.
Their pink little hands. Yeah.
Yeah, where she just starts picking on him. I really liked that because it seemed like something that she would default to is like, oh, that was the right perspective I had back then, you know? And I let my guard down, and now look at this mess. And I also like how it created this feeling of like I could just like I guess I could just like emote with her. She's just such a good actress that she just pulls you along.
Yep.
But it felt like for her, you know, she's like the chieftain's daughter. She was supposed to marry like a great warrior in the tribe and have kids and then like, you know, take over the tribe responsibilities. And like none of that's happened. She married a great warrior, but he was like a sky person, so he was weird. And then like they had to take their family, reacclimate over with the ocean people, which is not what they're supposed to be doing. Totally breaking tradition by doing that. And then it's like we're harboring this fugitive, which is kind of like how she put it. She's like, he's an alien. Like, just screw this guy. And I'll just protect like the Navi, the actual people. And he's like, well, okay, our kids are like half me.
Mm-hmm.
They have my DNA. I'm human. Is that a problem for you now too? And it was just like, it felt bad for her because she's like, in my moment of weakness, I just want to be resentful towards like the group, just the race, because they're pissing me off. And I just can't cope with that right now. But then she's like, I can't connect with my partner over it because you're part of that group. So I don't feel like I can be really genuinely frustrated at them, even if it is just a passing feeling. So I totally got where she was just like all a mess in that. And I thought Jake, to his credit, he like pushes her, kind of provokes it out of her, but then he recounts it very quickly afterwards and is like, I shouldn't be doing that. Like, this is just not good for either of us to do. So I'm assuming that's the stuff you were thinking of, but was there other things about her that you liked?
No, I think that pretty much captures it because it was an interesting arc. Like, I really liked there was a moment where Jake is in with the humans, not like on their side or whatever, but they capture him and they're about to kill him. And he sees what they're doing with Spider and he understands what their motivations are now. He's like, oh, this is something that could be very, very bad. He's like, whatever's going on with humans coming here now it would be exponentially worse if they're able to do what they want to do here.
Yeah. If they want to just breathe on the planet.
Right.
Yeah.
And so he takes it upon himself to like, well, we got to get rid of Spider. If we kill him now, then we can prevent all that evil from happening.
It made sense, Jake.
Yeah. Yeah. But there's a moment in there. So, when Neytiri inevitably goes to break Jake out, she paints herself like one of the Fire Clan.
Mm.
And it's black and red and white. And it's interesting because she's washing it off and she looks down at her hands and it's all red, like she's got blood on her hands.
Mm-hmm.
And she's the one that wants to go save Spider now. She's like, because he finally pushes past that edge that you've just described where she wants to get rid of that. It's like an object that she can place all of her hatred on, even though he doesn't deserve it. And then she realizes what that can mean.
He doesn't deserve it. He almost, but
it's close enough. But it's strictly meta. But she visually sees the blood on her hands and she's like, this is wrong. She's like, I finally come to the realization we got it. But Jake doesn't go through with it. So he comes to it by himself. But
I didn't like that.
Which part?
I thought she should have to interrupt him.
Agreed.
Because that would have made, but the thing is, I was like, you're not going to go through with this, are you?
No, of course
this is going to make our hero look like he's got a bad
he's going to pull a Luke Skywalker.
Yeah.
So I'll jump on this real quick just because I thought it was funny. Because James Cameron is not subtle at all. And I would argue that neither is Zack Snyder, but they do the same thing. There is, I've now counted 4. I thought it was 3, but it's 4. 4 biblical references in this movie. Okay. And like you said, it's good source material for sure. But
well, it's just epic,
It is.
Why not borrow from that book?
Sure.
It's crazy cool.
So there's this one, which is Abraham and Isaac.
Yeah.
And that's the one where God says, go take your son out and sacrifice him. And Abraham, wanting to be obedient, does it.
Yeah.
And so, but nothing tells Jake to do it. It's just what he thinks is going to prevent evil. So I thought that not only was Awa going to come down and stay his hand, like, do not kill your son. But I thought something was going to come out and stand in its place like a goat or something, because that's the story, is that then God provides a sacrifice.
Oh.
I thought he was going to be so on the nose that was, it didn't happen. But
I see.
But yeah,
I thought what would happen is he would like stab, but then the blade and some force would have his hand and prevent him, and he'd be like, "What is this?" And like, is Awa controlling him or something?
It's like, no, stay your hand. But yeah,
thankfully he didn't do either of those. What he did was not the best option, but it was a decent option.
Sure.
It was decent in the sense that it wasn't the crappy ones we just proposed, because those would have been lame.
So on the nose, horrible. So yeah, he doesn't stab Spider, and they decide that the right thing to do is to protect him, and we'll just figure it out from there.
Even though it's a tremendous risk, because as soon as they develop the technology, retrofit it to all humans out of Spider, then it means they can just, full stop take over the planet, which is what they would do.
Full on colonization, whatever that comes with.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I liked that going back to Neytiri, I liked that Neytiri had that realization separately.
Yeah.
I do wish that she had been the one to stop Jake, but Jake also needed to be the one that didn't kill him, because we would have had that kind of hanging over his head if he was still wanting to, and then she stopped him. So that's why they did that, is so that Jake is still not the bad guy.
Right.
So he wanted his cake and eat it too.
Soul is pure.
Exactly. So that's the problem I have with it, but I understand why he did it at least. Anyway.
Yeah. I liked that too, because like the whole paint thing, like like the blood on your hands bit, but like also too, just the fact that she put it on to be in disguise, it was also like she was playing into what the enemy was doing, like go out for revenge, make a bunch of noise. She's shooting like flaming arrows now, or they're like
she's got warheads on her arrows, which that was cool.
Yeah, so she's firing off these warheads and then causing a bunch of flames. So I was like, well, she's basically like the Ash tribe now.
Yep.
That's kind of cool. What does that mean?
They did the mirror thing was cool. Like you have Quayarch and Jake, and then what's her Varang and Neytiri. That was cool. I like the mirror effect that they had for both of them. That's fair.
Yeah, very interesting. And I like too, even just how it starts. I know as slow as it was, but there's relatively quickly we get that big action scene where they're trying to smuggle Spider into hiding, and Varang's crew comes out and just lights up the caravan. And, they straight up like shoot half the characters with arrows and destroy the ship. Everybody gets scattered. It's kind of like a Walking Dead thing.
Yeah.
Where they just like send in the zombies and then disperse all of our characters and see who survives and who can reconnect and who can't.
Sure.
So it felt like that kind of a moment. And that was a pretty strong opening, I felt, in terms of the plot, the larger plot, because like Neytiri gets hit in the arm and then just like collapses. So she loses to Varang and then has to fall down quite literally to like, the lowest level. So it kind of visually represented like where she was emotionally. I was like, oh, that's quite nice. And then, she had to kind of slowly recover and climb out of it. So yeah, that was a cool transformation with her as well.
Yeah. And then in the end, instead of her beating Varang just to save a child, belongs to someone else. So
yeah, that's a great point. Yeah,
that arc was great too. So
actually, yeah, because she saves the baby, the pregnant lady from last time, the Navi lady.
Yep,
she gets hit with something. She's like,
dead.
So she gives birth and then dies, and then she asks, but before she does, she asks Neytiri to take care of the child, and then she does. Which doesn't really make sense. She's just gonna give it to the father, I think.
Right, yeah.
I'm pretty sure that's.
But it was just that kind of like just a final crest of getting Neytiri past that final stage of grief, essentially. Because Neytiri has plenty of reason. She's already got other kids, so it's not like she's gonna adopt this child. But getting it out of the war zone and protecting it from the imminent danger,
right?
And that part was great too, because the woman's like giving birth, and Neytiri's standing over her with a bow, shooting down anything that would come after her. Like that part was really cool as well.
Yeah. I like that.
And like it visually also represented that kind of like coming back and saying, I'm going to make a stand for something, and especially after all the transformation she'd gone through. So, yeah, like I said, Neytiri was my favorite part of the movie, hands down.
She's like tempted to just give into all of her hatred.
Yeah,
but it felt like the ways in which when she doesn't give into it, they felt like they were natural. They didn't feel like Cameron was giving the character a pass.
Right.
They felt like natural things that she would encounter. And then, like you said, it's like, okay, well, now she's faced with this. Do you protect this pregnant lady? Of course you do.
Yeah.
It's just that in the act of doing so, it registers for her like where her moral compass needs to be.
Yep.
And so then she recenters. And it's kind of like, oh, that was cool.
Yeah, which is great. Anything else in Neytiri? I'll pull off. So I'm going to go over
There's probably more, though, to be honest.
Oh, sure.
There was a lot of really great scenes with her. If I watched it again, I think I could really zone in some more. But
definitely. Zoe Saldana really sold this whole role.
Yeah, I really can't talk her up enough. She's always been that linkage to help you understand the world. Without her, I feel like these movies would just not work.
Be a lot weaker, for sure. If anything else, be a lot weaker.
Well, yeah, because then you'd be watching like Spider and stuff for most of it.
I wanted to go over the other biblical references real quick.
Okay, yeah. What were those other ones?
So you had that one.
Wait, actually, hold on.
Yeah.
One final comment on the Isaac one. It is the Abraham and Isaac story, but if Isaac was a moron.
If you were more like, well, you could kill Isaac, I guess. That's cool.
Well, no, I mean this sincerely. Because he's like, Jake, what are you doing? I'll be good, I promise. Like,
It's not about you being good, stupid.
Yeah. So I'm like, okay, so he doesn't have the mental capacity to understand this. And then he's like, it's okay. And I was like, what do you mean it's okay?
It's okay,
How does
Dad.
that make any sense?
Uh-huh.
I mean, what a tool. He just goes along with what everybody tells him. Like,
I love that
he
this
had
is
no
the
reason.
hate
Like,
spider hour. This is-
well, how did he know? Like, how did he know the reason? I was like, does Spider aware of the reason? I don't think so. It doesn't sound like it. Do you think he knew?
I don't know. I couldn't tell you. I have no idea. It would have been
At least Isaac understood that, well, it's a commandment from God. I'm not going to argue with that.
sure. Yeah, he worked it out for himself. But yeah,
But Spider, I don't know if he has the critical thinking
dude,
chops to do that.
no.
Anyways, other biblical references.
So there was another one that referenced Esther, and that was where Kiri went up to the water chieftain's wife, and they're like bathing themselves in smoke, like praying, you know?
Yeah.
And the wife turns to her and she says, maybe you're here. Basically, it wasn't quite this phraseology, but it was essentially the same, for such a time as this. And I was like, okay.
Is that specifically what Esther's told?
Yeah, so she's gonna go into the king because she's married to the Persian king.
Okay.
And no one can do that without invitation. And so
Okay.
she's gonna put her life on the line to save the Jewish people.
Oh, that's right.
Because his right hand man, it's not on the top of my head. I'll have to look it up later. The right hand man is planning to set up this trap in order to execute the Jewish people from that part. And so Esther's found out about the plot, and so the only way she can do something about it is to go straight to the king. And so her father comes in and is like, well, only you can do something about this, because only you have the ability to go in there and he'll forgive that act.
Oh, I see.
Instead of killing you right out if someone approaches him. And so the line that he uses is that, yeah, you know, maybe this time was set up for, or you were put in this place for such a time as this. So that was the second reference.
Okay.
The third one was a Moses reference, which it didn't come to me until just as we started this. And it's when Kiri hooks in and she's trying to go and see Awa.
Uh-huh.
And she's not allowed to see. And then she goes in the second time. This is
yeah.
a Moses thing.
Yeah.
Where he's
yeah,
like,
yeah,
I
yeah.
want to see. And God says, it's not, you can't see, you'll die. So you're
Mhm.
just going to see the hem of my robe. So
Yes.
she just sees this portion of Awa's face. She doesn't
Yeah.
get to see its full glory. I was like, oh, okay, there's the other one.
That's true. Yeah. Okay,
then-
so that's 3. What's the fourth one?
It's the wait, did I go over the Immaculate Conception already?
Yeah, no, but that's right.
The
Yeah,
Immaculate
Immaculate
Conception.
Conception. Yeah.
I knew that was freaking coming.
yeah.
And
Well, I
I-
think we all did, to be honest. with you.
True. But they started the conversation. I was like, please don't. They're like, you didn't
It's time.
you
to
didn't
tell her
have
the
a
truth.
father. I was like, oh. Like, okay, Anakin, calm down. Yeah, that was the last one. So.
Yeah. Yeah, he had quite a few of those. I don't remember any of them in the last 2 movies.
They may have been there. These ones were just so overt that they just
Mhm.
stood out. But they may have been there. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Because you do have, I mean, yeah, these ones are just a lot more overt. The white savior narrative always kind of comes with certain,
A bit of it, yeah.
but yeah, this one, this one, he's like, oh, let's expand a little bit. But I don't know how to introduce these without being overt about them.
Right. Let's just put the broader biblical context into here.
Anyway,
Yeah.
so those are my just random things. Is there anything else you wanted to go over specifically? We could just kind of have this last ranty section at the end here.
Well,
The whole
you
thing's
know,
been a rant, to be fair. I've been really harsh on this movie, but
yeah. Well, to be fair, I did think the whole whale council scene was a bit ridiculous.
oh my gosh.
So they go to the Council of
Ugh.
Whales, and the whales like
Which
pop up
happened
out of
in the
water.
second movie, by the way.
Okay, but we need to do it again because the poachers are still here.
Ridiculous.
Okay?
Okay. The same poachers. Anyway, go ahead.
Yes, it's the exact same poacher
Same
people.
guy. Uh-huh.
And like the poacher guy from the last movie who had like a conscience about this and didn't do anything
He
about
has
it.
a conscience in this one,
And then he
too.
does something. But see, we don't have to waste time because the last movie we had to establish that he had the conscience.
Oh, right.
Now that we know that,
Oh.
he can just deliver and do something
it.
about it. So it made the movie more active
Got
and
it.
enjoyable.
Right.
It really should be an edit of these last 2 movies trimmed
spliced
down
together.
and then spliced together. I would love to watch that. I think that would actually be really engaging.
Sure.
Because then you would just cut out a lot of the kids stuff that you don't care about and don't really even need.
Mm.
And then you would just get his arc, and then it would just end, and it would feel more satisfying. Because you're like, okay, well, we accomplished a lot between the two of these movies.
That's fair. That's fair. But the thing about it was
the middle portion of that movie would, of course, be when the son dies, and then Neytiri gets angry. So that would be the midpoint, and then she would have to go through this low point.
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah, it'd be good. Anyways, go ahead.
Yeah, release the edit. Because in that film, they do the same thing. They establish, that's what I'm missing. Okay. You only can do one thing at a time. They establish that the whales are anti-war, but there's one that is warlike because he lost his people, and that was the only way to do something about it.
Mm-hmm.
This movie says, okay, but I guess we can make one exception. But the way that they go about this is so stupid. Because both movies, so you got darn near 4 hours worth of setup for them to realize, like, not only is there evil happening, but these are very, very wise, advanced creatures. And I'm going to say, no, these are very stupid creatures. We probably should just farm these things at this point because they are dum-dums.
Yes, they are.
So they know that they're being poached. They know it.
They know.
They are well aware.
Yes.
Not only are they well aware, but they still choose to do nothing. But in this movie, they kick out the one warlike one, the one that connects with Loa, or whatever his name is.
Yeah.
They say, no, you've been fighting again. You got to go. And so he goes. He's like, I'm going to find my clan, which I got to say, in Way of Water, shows that his clan's dead.
Mm-hmm.
They killed his clan. That was the whole reason. I know he's outcast again, but he's like, I'm going to go find my clan. I was like, they're dead. I watched the second movie. They're all gone.
Yeah.
But,
I caught that.
Well, whatever. So he goes out, and he's like, I didn't find any of them, but I found one that survived because she fought or whatever. He's like,
she
but
was
look,
a defector like him.
But look at the state.
Yeah,
of this
look
one.
at the state of this whale. And
so,
it's like,
it's supposed to be like this emotional moment, and I'm like, yeah, I've watched 2 movies of you showing them butcher the whale. Like, I know what happens.
I know.
What am I supposed to get from this?
Well, the thing is the council needed to see it.
Right.
It wasn't real to them until they saw this poor whale.
Yeah, so he pulls up the whale, and it's like covered in harpoons, and it's
Yeah.
blinded, I guess. They blinded it.
And she comes up, and it's just like,
Look how terrible it is.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, but at least this one's alive. Like, they know that all these other ones are dead because of the same thing. So what is different about this moment? They're like, oh, that's terrible. I guess we'll join the fight now. I'm like, what is wrong with you? How many did you lose? Oh boy, that really is horrific. All right, we will give up our ways of peace. Like, what?
I know. That was just really lame. I've never been on board with the whole whales thing. It's like just a big distraction, I think, from the heart of the story.
Yeah.
All of it, the whales. The whales don't help anything. They contribute basically nothing. And he just spends so much time with them. The only thing they're good for is having cool underwater sequences, which you could do without them.
Well, they did that without him anyway in the first movie, or the second movie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was only for this connection that Loa has with this one outcast one, but even so, like, they do plenty. I will say, one other thing I liked about this one was the tentacle creatures. Great addition.
Well, yeah.
So good.
Because
they're like coming out and like, yeah, like, that's awesome.
Like some Lovecraftian thing, and they just like grab people and then eat them. They're like, ah!
But the thing about those creatures is that they are the same general, because all the animals kind of have this like semi-sentience, and there's no reason to give the whales any more. Except that they have this. But all the other tribes have these connections with animals in the first place. This one is just supposed to be like deeper or whatever.
Yeah.
But again, it doesn't add anything substantial to the narrative that makes you invested. It just is like, why are we here? They're just showing that they're dumb anyway, because they're like, well, our people are getting killed, but we don't pick up the spear. We will not pick up the sword and fight back. It's like, Why? What's different now that wasn't before?
Yeah, like what made them peaceful in the first place? I'm like, has this just always been a thing?
Well, they have a
Like
culture.
that's what I would have said. I'd be
so-
like, wait a minute, so have you guys never picked up fighting, or is this just like
Is this a new development?
because it seems yeah,
It's only
like,
after we started
tell me
getting
more
attacked.
about
We're
this.
like, you know what?
Explain to me.
We're not gonna fight the poachers. We don't want to be killers. Come on.
Because it's like, have you had to deal with poachers before? You know, these are important questions to ask these whale folk.
Sure. But that would involve world building, which
Well, yeah, that's I don't know if we have the
bring
time for
bar
that. There's a lot
down.
of other stuff we need to do.
Yeah, like other things.
I need another spider scene for one.
Oh yeah, for sure. We need just a whole spider series, I think. Okay, so
Oh my god, now that you've said it, they're probably gonna do that.
oh, sorry.
It's
All right.
terrifying.
Well, we've got an hour and 14. Do you have anything else that you want to go over here?
Well, what did you think about the whole? I hate to talk about spiders more, but just the concept, not him, but the concept that like humans now like bond with nature and now they can breathe. Was that okay? I'm mixed too.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, I liked what it gave him in terms of opportunity with the corporatism thing.
Yeah.
That was okay. That's better to me than like the whale thing.
Mm-hmm.
Because it actually brings about a moral quandary that I can get on board with. Like, I get it. It's sad we're killing the whales and we're draining their brains. But I'm like, okay. But, like, if you give me a human child that they're going to tear apart in order to get this, like, that's a lot more,
Yeah.
feasible to me.
Uh-huh.
Well, not feasible, but more relatable, I guess, as to, like, oh, my gosh, that's... But what would you do with that?
Right.
Because technically, I mean, if you're in enough of a crisis and like Earth is overpopulated or whatever the world is set up to be, if this is something that can relieve that pressure, like we can give you a whole new planet to where we can save the human species if we just get rid of one child, then it's another interesting moral quandary. Because then you're forced to ask like, what would you do in that situation?
Uh-huh.
Kind of the same thing that Jake was faced with is like, well, if we do this, then it might be the end of these people that I have adopted. So would it be better to kill Spider?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, that's an interesting quandary. I don't think Jake would have gone as far as he did in this film, but it's an interesting question to pose. And so I liked that was something that could be posed.
Yeah.
And I get it's part of his world building too, because he's like, well, I've already given Jake a Na'vi body. So what if I had the world acclimate an actual human here? And Awa was able to give that. So like, that part is okay for what it is, but for his lack of world building elsewhere, I was like, this is kind of lackluster for everything I was getting.
Yeah.
Long-winded answer, but I guess.
I think for me, it kind of the one kind of weird part of the whole movie was that I didn't feel it so much to the last one, but I'm definitely feeling it now, and it's that sense that we're really lacking that human connection, which sounds crazy because there's all these like emotional things happening.
Yeah.
But I just mean that in the first movie, you have scenes where Jake is a human being and he's interacting with other human beings.
We were just all human beings and we just love each other.
Precisely. And we don't have that now. We just have blue people running around, and anytime you see a human being, it's an evil person. He has to get eaten by some
Except Spider.
weird monster. Except Spider. We love Spider.
We love Spider.
That must be the thing that just really tips it over the edge, is that he wants you to like this human,
right?
But he's the most obnoxious one, and so you're just like,
like
I don't want to like this guy. Why him?
Anyone else, please?
I know. So I just find that kind of, I don't think it would be, I don't know, like, because there are interesting developments that happen in this story just within, like, Koyarch being what he is. Like, now him being a Na'vi makes sense to me because of the whole Varang storyline he can have with her, which I don't think would really work if he was in his human body. He kind of needs to be in this body initially. And then I also think that because he's just the clone, it actually is a bit more interesting because he knows now that he has the option to just not be like how he was.
Yeah.
So because he has, I mean, I guess you always have that option kind of, but you would feel it more so, I think, if you knew that
there's
you
more
were
of a
just
separate
copy.
tie. Yeah, you're not you.
Exactly.
Or whatever. Yeah.
Precisely. So there's like interesting potential elements with those things. And so a part of me is like, all right, well, you got to just lean into all those narratives.
Right.
But then the other part of me is like, but we're just getting further and further away from like just real human beings still being a connector point for the movie or for the audience. And instead, we just have to go along with these CGI blue people. Now, they look fantastic, and it's not uninteresting necessarily, but it is different kind of experience than the original. And I think overall, people are always going to say the original is the best. They're always going to cite that one because it has that, whereas these other ones don't. And so there's just this fundamental mood difference.
Just a
between
disconnect.
them. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah, that's fair. Maybe that's what other white savior narratives have that makes them last longer than I think this one will. Because this definitely has like that kind of blockbuster big movie feel, but it doesn't have that emotional connection that a lot of those other ones do. Because, you know, when you watch something like Last Samurai, you're able to connect with that character a lot better because he's just finding meaning through integrating with this other culture, but he retains himself. Like, it's still a human being that goes over. He doesn't like become something else.
Right.
This one, you know, it goes into the world of fantasy, and so now he's severed his tie to the reality that we understand, and therefore kind of separates the audience.
Yeah.
But that's another discussion for another time.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think we've covered this one well enough.
Yeah, I think so.
It's
good movie. Very long.
Altogether, yeah, probably recommend, but not my favorite of the year for sure.
I get your problems with it.
Yeah.
It's just, it's like, again, you have to see, I see Cameron now.
I see you.
Yeah, you see, but you don't have the sight. It's just like what Jake was
I
telling
don't
Claire.
have the sight.
You don't have the sight.
Yeah, I don't want it.
I have the sight now, so I can sit and just enjoy the good things and then recognize I need to be patient now.
Oh, that's my problem. I don't have the virtue of patience is what
I need this scene to just play out. Don't think too hard, just kind of let it wash over me.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
And then I go into a scene that I like. Then I go into one I don't like as much, but that's all right. You're just going to watch.
Take it moment by moment here.
We'll burn some incense. I'll tell you all about it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, let's go do that right now. Thank you for watching. So you made it to the end of the video. If you liked it, please consider subscribing and leave us a comment. We'd love to hear what you thought.